Well, let's jump into our baseball, talk about some games that are a little bit closer in the future, like on Thursday compared to in September, Brett. We have a good slate of games. I had a much harder time picking from the MLB slate compared to our NHL and NBA slate that we're going to get into in a little bit, Brett. Partly because I like the quality of these baseball lines a lot better. Those lines in the NBA and the NHL, it was hard to pick those for a very different reason that we'll get into. But these MLB lines, there's some interesting games. Starting off with an NL Central matchup between the Cardinals and the Brewers. Now, this is going to be Corbin Burns coming back off of an IL stint. We think it was COVID-19. He's facing off against Jack Flaherty with the St. Louis Cardinals coming to town. Flaherty is already 6-0 on the season, Brett. So, with Burns coming off of this bed rest kind of like that, I'm going to ride with the hot hand of Flaherty, who hasn't been on the IL yet. Take the Cardinals plus 105 on their road trip up to Milwaukee here.
It's interesting, Higgins. Corbin Burns has been amazing on the mound this year. So, it was a great stat you gave about Jack Flaherty. For me, this was a stay away game. These are two, in my mind, top tier pitchers in the majors right now. Definitely in the NL. So I will have more fun probably scoreboard watching this one, seeing if anyone has a no going throughout this one, than actually betting it. But I like that Flaherty's undefeated, a pitcher coming off, the IL for undisclosed reasons, right? So, yeah, I think everything you said is fair and definitely plausible for sure, Higgins.
Yeah, Flaherty, 7 appearances. They've won all 7 games, the Cardinals have. Flaherty has been given credit for 6 of those wins. The Cardinals on the road as well, they're also 10-6 on the road here. So I like this visit in an NL Central rivalry like this, especially against someone like Corbin Burns, who, although he has had this phenomenal start in his 5 appearances so far this season, the Brewers are 2-3. Corbin Burns personally is 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's been fantastic, just himself, no doubt about it. But you know who was fantastic in his last start, Higgins? My guy who had a temporary Hulk tattoo on his arm because his son asked him to put it on, and he was like, "Sure, I'll do that." And then he went out and threw a no Higgins. Wade Miley takes the mound, his first game after the no hitter. He's facing Chichi Gonzalez of the Colorado Rockies. The game's in Coors, so the over-under is set at 10. I expect there to be runs scored. I do not expect a no-hitter from Wade Miley, but I do expect the Hulk tattoo. I will say, why would you go out without it? I don't know.
Hey, baseball superstitions run extremely deep. Why not at least continue that for one more game? I agree. Brett, I'm surprised though the no hangover isn't having you stay away. I typically stay away from those games, or I'll bet against the guy that just threw the no because I'm not never sure how well their arm does off of the normal rest that they get after such a workload. But an interesting pick. They are still favored in Colorado.
Yeah, I like you said, Higgins. I'm backing the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. I'm backing Wade Miley, and it's pretty much the auto fade of Chichi Gonzalez. I hate to, hate on guys, right? Like I want to be pro player, but Chichi has a 5.97 ERA, a
Oof.
whip over 1.57. He's walked 10,
Oof.
only struck out 15,
Eesh.
surrendered 35 hits. With all due respect to Chichi Gonzalez, he is a great baseball player. You do not make it to the major leagues without being a great baseball player. In terms of major league starting pitchers, he is probably towards the bottom of that list, unfortunately. So it's really, it's tough to pitch in Colorado. Anything could happen for any pitcher. I'm sure Chichi pitches there a lot, which might inflate that ERA a little bit, but I can't back a guy with those numbers. Wade Miley has been fantastic this year. He capped it off with a no in his last start. you're right. His arm may be a little tired. Maybe he can't go as long, but I'm not backing Chichi Gonzalez. Is pretty much where I stand.
And while the Rockies are leading 2-1 over the Padres as we're recording this on Wednesday night, the Rockies also are trying to break a 4-game losing streak currently, Brett. So going into that game tomorrow could mean a lot more like that if they end up losing to the Padres tonight. Or they could be really exhausted from the end of a brutal series against the Padres in a game they could potentially win on Wednesday if they end up giving it up. We'll see how that goes. I like that pick, Brett. Staying on the West Coast, though, I'm going to be jumping up to Seattle. We have the Indians facing off against the Mariners, where we have Zach Plesac on the mound for Cleveland, facing off against a young Logan Gilbert who just got called up for the Seattle Mariners. He's one of a young nucleus of pitchers that Seattle's going to be calling up in the next couple of weeks, months for this year, but over the next few years, they're really supposed to be the young nucleus that they're going to build around in their pitching staff. And you know what? I don't know if the Mariners necessarily win this game, if Gilbert's going to escape with a win, but I do like Seattle at plus 1.5 at home at only minus 125 odds, Brett, because Seattle is still the best team in the league against the run line. They're tied with the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants at 23 and 13 going into Wednesday's games. That's a 63.9 win percentage against the run line. So I'm taking Seattle as the home dogs here. It seems like a natural logic to me in a sense.
Yeah, I'm interested in this game because it's in Seattle with both young players. Hagen, you mentioned Logan Gilbert, Jared Kalenic, the number 3 overall prospect in all of Major League Baseball, is also coming up. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup for sure on Thursday, but I would bet it. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Higgins? Like they're not calling up this kid not to put him in the lineup. So, I it's not like Logan Gilbert where we know they're calling him up to start, but you could almost you could almost write it in Sharpie. So, there's going to be a lot of excitement in that ballpark tomorrow with the Mariners. So I could definitely see them stealing a win here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to necessarily take the win, but the plus 1.5 run line I think is a fantastic value right now at minus 125 on Wednesday night. If that's still there on Thursday, I would continue to grab that as well until it gets down to probably a minus 140, 150, and then it's not really necessarily worth it just for the value of return. But minus 125 is a home dog. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that I totally agree. Last game we're gonna find ourselves on Higgins. I'm gonna find myself on Marlins Diamondbacks. Trevor Rogers is on the mound for the Marlins. He's been unbelievable this year. 50 strikeouts, Higgins, and 38 innings pitched with a sub 2 ERA at 1.89. Merrill Kelly, on the other hand, 5.40 ERA. Only 30 strikeouts in 38 innings. This is a pitcher mismatch, Higgins, and I am getting even money. Minus 105 both ways on the money line here. So the book's taking a little bit of juice, Higgins, but that's just they didn't want to put it at even money. Fine, so be it. I get Rogers pretty much at even money. You take that and you run, sir.
Yeah, the pitching notes and stats that you just mentioned of the differences between Trevor Rogers and Merrill Kelly, I don't really get that money line right there. Maybe first 5 odds are drastically different than what we're seeing the full 9 money line at, but that is really surprising. Because I agree, Trevor Rogers versus Merrill Kelly is absolutely a mismatch on the mound.
Yeah, I think it's tough to run a sports book, Higgins. Like you got to put out a lot of lines, and someone may have been a little bit asleep at this opening line here. I don't know, or maybe they know something I don't know. Right? Maybe they're smarter than me. I should be careful.
And Brett, just so you know, this is the second of the 2 series that these two teams are going to be playing this year, so they're going to get their head-to-heads out early. So far, the the Marylands. The Miami Marlins, they swept Arizona in Miami, and so far the Diamondbacks are sweeping Miami in Arizona. Those two teams are also playing on Wednesday night as we are recording, Brett. But Miami's winning that one 3-1 currently, so if they hold on to that one in the top of the fourth currently, then would break that streak of the home team winning so far in their regular season series.
Yeah, and kind of a big note for Diamondback fans and all gamblers out there. Zach Gallen was supposed to start the Wednesday night game, but he was a late scratch and he was put on the IL. So it's just something to be alert of. We think Merrill Kelly will be the starting pitcher on Thursday, but obviously they have had to do some shuffling up of their pitching staff over the last 24 hours here.
Definitely something to be aware of. That is a very good point, Brett.